Have you ever waited for something for so long that you almost gave up hope? Imagine waiting decades for a promise that seemed impossible to fulfill. That's the incredible story of Abraham and Sarah, a tale of faith, doubt, and a miracle that changed the course of history. Our story begins with a man named Abram, who we later come to know as Abraham. God made a monumental promise to him. He said, "Look up at the sky and count the stars if indeed you can count them. So shall your offspring be." An amazing promise, right? A legacy as vast as the stars. But there was just one problem, a pretty big one. Abraham and his wife, Sarai, later known as Sarah, were old, really old, and they had no children. As the years rolled by, the promise seemed more and more distant. 10 years passed, then 20. Abraham was approaching 100 years old, and Sarah was 90. In their culture, having children was everything. It was a sign of blessing, a way to carry on the family name. The emptiness in their tent must have felt deafening at times. They were surrounded by a promise of countless descendants, yet they couldn't even hold one child of their own. It's easy for us to judge from our perspective, but imagine their struggle, the waiting, the whispers from neighbors, the ache in their hearts. Sarah, desperate to help God's promise along, came up with a plan. She suggested that Abraham have a child with her Egyptian servant, Hagar. This was a common custom at the time, but it wasn't God's plan. This decision led to a son named Ishmael, but it also brought a lot of conflict and heartbreak into their family. It was a painful detour, a reminder that sometimes our best laid plans aren't God's best plan for us. Even after this, God didn't give up on them. He appeared to Abraham again, reaffirming his promise. This time, he was more specific. He said that Sarah herself would bear a son. When Abraham heard this, he fell face down and laughed to himself. 100-year-old man having a son? It seemed absurd. Later, 3 mysterious visitors came to their tent. Abraham showed them great hospitality. As they ate, one of them declared that by this time next year, Sarah would have a son. Sarah was listening from inside the tent, and just like her husband, she laughed. It wasn't a laugh of joy, but of disbelief. "After I am worn out and my Lord is old, will I now have this pleasure?" she thought. The visitor, who was the Lord, knew her thoughts and asked, "Is anything too hard for the Lord?" That's a question that echoes through the ages, isn't it? And then, just as God had promised, the impossible happened. At the exact time God had foretold, Sarah became pregnant and gave birth to a son. Abraham was 100 years old. They named him Isaac, which means he laughs. The name was a perfect reminder of their initial disbelief, which had now turned into pure, unadulterated joy. Sarah declared, "God has brought me laughter, and everyone who hears about this will laugh with me." Isaac's birth wasn't just a happy ending for an old couple. It was the fulfillment of a divine promise. Through Isaac's line, God's covenant would continue, eventually leading to the nation of Israel and, for Christians, the coming of the Messiah. It was a pivotal moment in salvation history, all starting with a baby born against all odds. The story of Abraham and Sarah teaches us so much about faith. It's not about having a perfect, unwavering belief. Their journey was filled with doubt, mistakes, and laughter born of skepticism. But through it all, they clung to God's promise. Their story shows that faith is about holding on, even when everything around you screams that it's impossible. It shows us that God's timing is perfect, and His plans are far greater than our own. So, whatever you're waiting for, whatever promise seems too far-fetched, remember Abraham and Sarah. Remember the laughter of disbelief that turned into the laughter of joy, because their story is a timeless testament that with God, nothing is impossible. Thank you so much for watching. If this story encouraged you, please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel for more content that explores these powerful stories of faith. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.